Good evening. The Rio Rancho Board of Education meeting for Monday, March 8th, 2021 is now called to order. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and mute your microphones. Vice President Morgan will be presenting the pledge. Jeff, I'm not hearing the pledge. Is it just me?
Yes, you're not having.
The flag's not up.
Okay.
You have the flag.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, here we go. I'm sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Vice President Morgan. Okay, Kim, is your microphone working? You want to take a roll call for us?
Yes, microphone's working now, I think. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Vice President Morgan.
Here.
Secretary
Present.
Scott. Secretary Scott?
I think you're going to have to.
Okay, there she is. All right. Board Member Coleman.
Present.
Board Member Coleman.
Present.
President Galbraith.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Kim, will you go ahead and mute Secretary Scott again for us? There we go. Thank you. Okay, we'd like to welcome everyone tonight. To start off our meeting tonight, we have some introductory comments by the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Visu Cleveland. Dr. Cleveland.
Welcome, everyone. And I do have some major changes that have happened as of 3:30 this afternoon. So I will be going over those and sharing with you some major changes for our district. So if I can have the slides, please.
Janie, I can't pull up the slides. Can you pull them up for Dr. Cleveland, please?
We're all learning some new procedures here.
And for a moment, just while we're waiting for those slides to come up, I just want to also welcome, we have a couple of people who will be presenting here with commendations. We have Angie Adams and Dr. Joseph Dreyer here from Friends of the Library. And literacy, we also have Kim Johns, our principal from Shining Stars, on tonight. And so we'll be presenting a commendation later on tonight, but we want to welcome them. Go ahead, Dr. Cleveland.
Okay, thank you. All right. I think we have my slide and this one's on the side, but we'll go ahead and get started. Again, welcome everyone. If we could have the next slide. I'll tell you what, while they work on that, President Galbraith, would you like to go ahead and go to the commendations since we have people here? Here we go. All right.
There we go.
Good. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, there was a press conference this afternoon, and the Secretary of Education, the Secretary of Human Services, and the Secretary of the Department of Health presented a new plan for our public schools in New Mexico. And so things have changed again pretty dramatically. So on April the 5th, any student who wishes to return, whether they're currently in virtual or hybrid, can now return to in-person learning. And so hybrid basically will disappear, and you will have only two options, and that is to come in person or to remain virtual. As of those who want to remain virtual, and we still have a significant number of our students and their families who have chosen that, you're perfectly fine to remain in virtual for the remainder of the year. And we'll continue to serve instructionally, but also meals and the things that we have been able to deliver this year. As of now, all staff are working from the school sites. On-site attendance is really important for us in order to be able to effectively and safely run our schools. We need people for lunch duty. We need people for hall duty. We need people for bus duty. We need people for the classrooms, most importantly. So all of staff is now back, whether you're virtual or in person, with the exception of two groups. And I will talk a little bit more about those in a minute. Those on FMLA, family medical leave, will continue to be, of course, on leave. Those that are on ADA will have 2 weeks after the time that their last vaccination shot has been administered, and will need to return after that time. And so the high risk exemption will end after those 2 weeks after the last shot. So when we're talking about full reentry, we're talking about going back to the way we have always done schools in the past. It will be 5 full days per week. So there will not be the Wednesday in the middle of the week for cleaning or for any of the other types of activities, professional development, and then we'll just have 5 regular days of instruction. And each student is going to have to decide in their family, do you want to be virtual or do you want to be in person 5 days a week? And then you're going to have to make that choice and stay in that choice until the end of the year, because we're not able to keep moving back and forth. We don't have enough staff to be able to do that. So it's your choice, but then once you've made that choice, really will need people to remain there short of a major emergency until the end of the school year. All students will be able to participate now. There's no restrictions for any district in New Mexico regarding participation in any NMAA sanctioned activity. And spectators will be allowed to attend, but it will be based on your county color. So it depends, it may be 25%, it may be 50%, it may be 75% based on where your county is in terms of COVID infection. So, but there will be spectators allowed at those events. And one of the ones that we've been trying to keep you informed about through the last several weeks has been the fine arts programs and what's been happening in that area, particularly as it relates to choir and band. And so they will be able to perform, but it's only outdoors. So if they want to perform at school, they'll have to go outside to do that. They could certainly perform outside for any of their events, but they are not allowing them to practice within the classroom setting. So that was the compromise that was reached for fine arts. And we have a report this evening, and Kurt Schmidt will be providing some additional information to you about the fine arts programs. Next slide, please. So there's some challenges ahead as we move now back to just the 2 options. And I don't know how many transportation schedules Lynn has done since the beginning of this year, but it's been multiple ones. And so now again, we're going to do another set of transportation schedules to facilitate all of the children and students who want to come back and be in person. Food service will be provided, but there will be some challenges. We've done a basically pick up and go, and some of that will change a little bit. Those students, though, who are virtual will continue to get their meals if they wish meals from the school district, just like we've done all year and last spring. There's a new toolkit that's now out that will outline all of the changes and all of the requirements for returning to in-person learning. And what I think is kind of interesting is we just did the last one. it just seems like we just did the last toolkit just a couple of weeks ago. And so, we're going to kind of go back to the drawing board and go through all the new regulations. And, it was really short between the time all secondary students could come back to now where all students can come back regardless of grade level and for 5 days. As I said, there's no more hybrid option. Hybrid options now go away, and you have the two choices of either 5 days in person, or you can remain virtual if that's your choice. We did have reentry today for grades 7, 8, and 9, and it went very smoothly, went very well, no major problems, and it was just a great day for our staff and our students. And so now we only have 2 grade levels that are not back in hybrid, and that was grades 10 and 11. But of course, by April the 5th, everyone will be back K through 12, pre-K through 12. I wanted to just give you a brief update on the vaccines. All school personnel will have an opportunity to get their vaccine during the month of March. So any staff member choosing not to be vaccinated will also be required to come back to work. There is no mandatory vaccine. You do not have to take it. It's a personal choice, and it will remain a personal choice until the time it's no longer experimental. And then at that point, nobody knows what the decision is going to be. But for right now, it's still experimental, it's still optional, and you can choose to take it or not. But if you choose not to take it, you still are required to return to work. And then one of the challenges I think we're going to face in the short term, it's not going to be a major challenge for very long, but certainly managing classes for staff who don't feel well after the vaccine, especially those receiving the second shot. So, we think we'll have a good number of folks after the second shot who will be not feeling well to work the next day. So we're going to have to think about what we do for subs and perhaps some other options that we've been looking at. But we have had a significant number of those folks who've already had the Pfizer and the Moderna and the second shot have found themselves a little bit sick the second day. Some, it doesn't even last more than all night, but we will have to deal with the substitute issue. Next slide. The state is really encouraging all educators, regardless of what you do for our organization, applies to all educators, people who work in facilities and maintenance, or our folks in any area are able to qualify for this. So they are really encouraging people who want the vaccine to do it, because it will be the easiest way you will ever be able to get the vaccine. And so you will not be competing against the general public. You will not be competing against any other group. It will be dedicated solely to people who work in the field of education. So I really hope that people will take advantage of that. We've been told that there'll be several mass vaccination sites. I know that Presbyterian has one close to the Cooper Center, not too far off of Jefferson, San Mateo, and right north of the Balloon Fiesta Park. And they're going to be able to do significant numbers at what was once the old Honeywell building. They turned it into a vaccine hub. Some of the other providers are doing the same thing. In addition to that, some organizations are doing, like the city of Rio Rancho has a vaccination center at the Star Center. So hopefully there will be lots of opportunities. We've already been receiving some opportunities this week. And so we took our surveillance test group, which is random, and started calling people and saying, if you want the vaccine, you can have it. And I think the very first round was 150. And we'll just keep, as the vaccines become available, we will go down that list. And again, it's a random list, and it's the list we use for surveillance testing. Once, for those who have not been vaccinated yet, will still be required to do surveillance testing. And so if you are in yellow or green, if your county is, then 12.5% of your staff have to be tested for surveillance testing. But once you move into the turquoise, that will drop down to only 5%. If, however, if you already have the vaccine, that's a different situation. If after you're 14 days out from your final dose of the vaccine, you won't be required to quarantine anymore, even if you have been in close contact with a positive individual. And as I said, you will not have to do the surveillance testing anymore. So once you get the vaccine, those rules change. And the more we get, then the challenge is going to be the pool for those doing the surveillance testing is going to test more often. And so you might get called with greater frequency as the numbers of unvaccinated staff go down. Next slide, please. We have a board commendation this evening. I just can't tell you the tremendous job that the Rio Rancho Public Schools health team has done. They have just done a phenomenal job since the pandemic began, and have really worked to keep us safe and really worked to make sure our students are safe and have dealt with those folks who have become ill. So they have had a tremendous job. Board member Cullen will speak to some of those contributions for the health team. I just want to tell you who they are. The nurse coordinator is Jo Sanchez. She's done a fabulous job. She's been overseeing all of the school nurses, all of the care room aides, the health assistants. She has just done an absolutely phenomenal job working with HR and working with our team. And we just cannot thank her enough for the work that she has done. And she'll talk a little bit about the other team. We have a resource nurse who fills in when other nurses are gone, but also helps with a lot of the pandemic related issues. We are so lucky in this district and have been for many years to have a school nurse in every building. You know, we've had the care aides who work the care rooms, and that's been an interesting position. And then our normal health assistants who run our offices, our nurses' offices with the nurse, and then our substitute and casual nurses, all of them make up our team, and they're a wonderful group, and they have done an incredible job this year. As I mentioned earlier, our Executive Director for Fine Arts, Kurt Schmidt, will present a departmental report. This is his regular departmental report, but he will also provide you with some updated information for his department, including some of the changes that have just occurred this afternoon. Then we have a very special presentation on the donation to Shining Stars Preschool for Literacy Puppets by Friends of the Library, Rio Rancho, the Friends of the Library in Rio Rancho. Carl Leppelman, our Chief Academic Officer, will say a few words, as will Kim Johns, who's the principal at Shining Stars Preschool, who is the recipient of this gift. And then Angie Adams, who is with that organization, but a former educator, longtime educator in our district, and an advocate for libraries and library services. And then Dr. Joe Dreyer. We are delighted to have you with us, and thank you for being here and for your role in this wonderful gift to Shining Stars. But we have a couple of business items I just want to say a couple things about. Janice Chenault will ask the board to consider keeping Martin Luther King Junior Elementary closed for one more year, as we have a considerable amount of construction that will be going on the site, and the need to keep that building at the minimum number of students in order to facilitate as classes have to move from one location to another. And so that's, she'll be talking with you about that. We did close schools to out-of-district transfers this year for both pandemic reasons, but also for the construction. But we didn't get very far in the construction due to a lot of the things that have gone on this year. So the recommendation will be to look at keeping it closed for one more year. And then we have 3 RFP awards for the board to consider this evening. One is related to our facilities master plan, and then the other 2 are related to the E-rate, and they will explain those when we get to those items. E-rate is an extremely important part of our IT funding for this district. And if there are any questions or comments, I will turn it back to President Albert.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland, so much. I can't imagine what a day it's been for you and for the district as all those announcements have come out. Anyway, I was very surprised. My son actually said his birthday's in April, and he said, I guess this is a birthday present for me that he gets to go back to school. So we'll go to the board. Vice President Morgan, do you have any questions for Dr. Cleveland off of her comments for tonight?
Not at this time, I do not. Thank you, Dr. Cleveland.
You, Secretary Scott?
No questions. Thank you for a good presentation.
Okay. Wynn Coleman?
No questions, but thank you, Dr. Cleveland.
And Catherine Cullen?
No, thank you.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so thank you again, Dr. Cleveland. We appreciate those opening comments. Okay, so we'll move down to item E to to approve the prioritized agenda and proposed time allocations. Any discussion on that? Questions? Is there a motion?
I
to
make a
approve?
motion to approve the agenda.
Okay.
It's Board Member Morgan, I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Catherine Cullen and a second by Jeffrey Morgan. Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us?
Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Scott,
Yes.
Board Member Cullen,
Yes.
Board Member Coleman,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Okay. So for our public comment tonight, we have two public comments. Our first is from Russell Mashad. He was asked a question if the board is planning to go back in person with teachers going back into their classrooms. We also had another one by Dusty Beck, who is concerned that we don't have the amount of staff that we need as we are going into hybrid, and concerned about the classes in the cafeteria having to meet in there, and said that it's not the ideal situation. And that is all we have on public comment tonight. Those who are desiring to give public comment, please do so. You can go to the RRPS board page. There's a form on that page where you can put your public comments. Every member of the board reads those comments, and also those in the district staff read those comments as well. And we appreciate getting those. And so now on to our commendations. Our first commendation has been announced. We have a presentation of a donation to Shining Stars from our Friends of the Library and Literacy of Rio Rancho. And so Carl Leppelman, our Chief Academic Officer, is here, Angie Adams, and Dr. Joseph Dreyer with our Friends of the Library, and also Kim Johns, our principal over at Shining Stars.
Well, thank you, President Galbraith, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland. It just seems like yesterday the Friends of the Library and Literacy were here in front of you. And just to refresh our memories, really gave a really nice donation, the first donation of the year, I believe, of ebooks that really have helped us in our schools make sure students had what they needed to learn. So we thank you for that. And tonight they're here again this evening to, they're a very active organization, very much about children and making sure that they are prepared to be successful. And it is obviously, it's a nonprofit that works very hard, and we thank you for that. And in front of you is a great picture of the Angie Adams handing the check to Kim Johns for the $500 for the literacy puppets. And I'll ask Angie actually and Joe, Dr. Dreyer, to talk a little more about what the Friends of the Libraries and Literacy are doing currently in their current site. So I really believe that our district and our community is a great place to live and a great place to learn because of organizations like this and people that pitch in during a time when the pandemic has taken away so much, and they've come forward and been there to help. So I'll turn it over to, I think, Angie,
Yes.
who's our former lead, by the way, librarian, and just a huge advocate for library media and students' literacy. So Angie?
All right. All right. We are happy to be here, and I was thrilled to be able to go out to Shining Stars Preschool this morning and present a check to Kim Johns and for CJ Carrasco's grant of puppet for literacy. You know, Shining Stars is the best preschool we have in this state, and what a blessing we have to have that here in Rio Rancho. I've had the privilege of working with Kim Johns, principal, and CJ Carrasco, literacy specialist, for many years. We know that this grant will support our youngest children in our community, and we know that's how important it is to support literacy at this age. Our mission of the Friends of Libraries and Literacy is to promote and support literacy and library programs in our community. And we were very happy to be able to present the check for $3,500 last November for the ebooks, and now to have this grant for the Shining Stars. We have opened our used bookstore since we were last here, and it's now open in the Albertsons Marketplace shopping center, which is on 528 in Ridgecrest. If you've been to Kaylin's Barbecue or Papa John's Pizza, we're just down around in there by a pack and mail place and a barbershop. And we're open Tuesday through Saturdays from 10 to 5. And the Friends, we're a 501c3, entirely run by volunteers. And our profits go to support the libraries and especially those literacy programs that we love here in our community. But if you see the bookmark, please do come in and see we have an amazing store now. It's stocked with thousands of books, CDs, DVDs, puzzles, and more. And we really look forward to supporting more literacy programs within the Rio Rancho Public Schools and within our community, Rio Rancho. But we know what a great job the teachers here in Rio Rancho. My years with from the very first year Rio Rancho became a district until I retired were such a pleasure and joy for me to work with Dr. Cleveland, who was here from the beginning also, Carl Leppelman, and so many others. And so we're happy to be here to support you, and hope you'll come see us at our store.
Thank you, Angie. Dr. Dwyer, would you like to say a couple of words before we turn over to Kim? Thank you.
Yes, just a few words that, as Angie said, the store is now open. It was a lot of work to get the store open, and during that time, we couldn't really concentrate on programs. Now that the store is open, we actively invite the public school system and other libraries in Sandoval County to propose programs. And we are right now actively looking for programs to support. So when you come up with an idea, get in touch with us. Angie is the excellent person to get in touch with first. And we also invite you to come to the bookstore. It's really turned out to be a very pleasant, very remarkable place and a darn good bookstore. So there's a quote from Neil Gaiman that says that a town can't be a real town without a bookstore, but a bookstore can't be a real bookstore without a community. We want to make sure that we have both of those.
Thank you, Dr. Dwyer. And we definitely appreciate all you do for our community. And I know, Angie, you're talking about a reading challenge this summer, but I'd like Kim maybe talk a little bit about what those puppets are going to do for not only students face-to-face, but the virtual students. Kim, thanks.
Thank you, Carl. We are very grateful for the Friends of Libraries and Literacy, and it was amazing to see Angie this morning. With having to provide so much virtual learning right now at Shining Stars, we are always looking for creative ways to engage the students. So this set of puppets is going to help not only in our library, but also in our classrooms school-wide to really engage those students. We're very excited that hopefully more of our students will be back starting April 5th, but trying to highly engage 3 to 5 year olds on a computer screen is quite the challenge. So we are very grateful for this gift from the Friends of Libraries and Literacy. Like Angie said, I'd really encourage our community to go out and support their new bookstore at 528 in Ridgecrest Drive. This is how they're able to help us out, not only in Rio Rancho Public Schools, but in the community as well. And Angie was already telling me of exciting things they want to try to provide this summer. And we are already coming up with another plan, hopefully, that they can support us. So very grateful for the Friends of Libraries and Literacy, and not only what they're going to bring to the students this year, but for those students years to come at Shining Stars. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim. I'll turn it back over to President Galbraith. Dr. Cleveland, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Dr. Cleveland, I know you talked a lot about this in your opening comments. Do you want to add anything before I go to the board?
Just thank you to you all, and how much we just so appreciate all you do, especially in a year like this year. It has just made such a difference. So it's wonderful to have you. Thanks again. Appreciate everything.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. You know, just the other day, I was actually driving by where the old city hall kind of was and somewhat is, those buildings there, and telling my children how the old library used to be in that old building. And I still remember going there, and it's amazing to see just the changes that have taken place in our city in regards to these things. And so we're so grateful. We're so grateful to have you. And I really, really look forward to going into your store and checking it out. I love books, so thank you. We have the board an opportunity. Wynn Coleman.
No, thank you so much for this and just for this opportunity in our community. So thank you.
And Catherine Cullen.
Yes, they said it all. And thank you so much, and we so appreciate all that you're doing for our district.
Jeffrey Morgan.
Just want to say thanks.
And Maureen Scott.
I'd like to say thanks, and I love your store. I've already been in there several times, gotten several books. So I'm very excited, and it's cheerful and light and airy, and I urge everybody to go. It's really nice.
Great, thank you.
Oh, I'm even more excited now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you once again for being on. Carl, is there anything else you needed to add before we let them go away from our board meeting tonight?
Well, I know that Angie and Joe have some plans for the summer for children that can't afford books, and to encourage those because reading outside school is very important. So everyone, all of us know this, and I think that's going out to schools now. I don't know if Angie, you want to share that now, or are you not prepared to do that?
We're not quite ready. We're still working with the school district elementary librarians. We know they've not in the class, they are in classrooms this year in different situation, but so we're still working on that.
Well, I just want to thank you again. It's just good to see you, and I can't wait to drop into your store. And I'm assuming you might take donations. I don't know, but for books, because that's what a bookstore does in a community.
That's right.
Absolutely. And the fact that we take community donations and we have an all volunteer staff allows us to both give books a second life and to have books that are very inexpensive, as you saw in the bookmarks.
And just one more thing, when you do come in, you'll notice if you've been to the old Shining Stars preschool, you'll notice that many of our bookshelves are from the old Shining Stars preschool that were purchased and donated by community members for our bookstore.
That's awesome.
So it sounds like we probably have books laying around our house we might be able to send your way. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being on. We appreciate it. Okay. Okay. So for our next commendation, let me We're missing Miss Jo Sanchez, who we really would like to be on here. Catherine, would you like to move ahead and go ahead and give your commendation? No, Jo's
Sure.
not on yet. Okay.
Yes, thank you. So on behalf of the Board of Education, we'd like to recognize and honor the healthcare workers of our district. As Dr. Cleveland mentioned, our healthcare team consists of the nurse coordinator, Jo Sanchez, resource nurses at all of our schools, care room aides, help assistants, and substitute and casual nurses. The National Association of School Nurses definition of school nursing, a specialized practice of nursing, protects and promotes student health, facilitates optimal development, and advances academic success. School nurses, grounded in ethical and evidence-based practice, are the leaders who bridge healthcare and education, provide care coordination, advocate for quality student-centered care, and collaborate to design systems that allow individuals and communities to develop their full potential. Our frontline healthcare workers have faced a lot of challenges this year and are unsung heroes. They serve our staff and students, and their dedication doesn't go unnoticed. We know that there is added stress and anxiety due to the pandemic. For some students, a school nurse may be the only provider that they see all year. Their team administers medication, first aid, performs screening for vision, hearing, height, and weight. They refer for medical, psychological, and social emotional needs. They oversee the immunizations, are in compliance. In addition, they educate teachers, students, and parents on health matters. They have countless responsibilities that are just too many to list. The team also added care room aides this year due to the pandemic. Their team has a tremendous amount of added responsibilities, especially when we have positive COVID cases and help with contact tracing. Jo Sanchez has spent countless hours during this school year to make sure our students' needs are met. Our healthcare team is truly appreciated for all that they do. And again, with this pandemic, there's just so much that have been added onto their responsibilities, and we can't thank you enough from our board. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, so much for giving that on behalf of our board tonight. And I think you said it perfectly well. I know Jo's trying to get on. I wish you were here. We see her all over. Oh, here, go ahead, Tana. Did you want to?
President Galbraith, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland, yes, she's trying to get on right now. So, yeah, definitely, Catherine, you said everything that is so important about our healthcare workers. And Kim Williams is the resource nurse for the district. So I do want to give a shout out for her name as well, because her and Jo have worked in tandem, incredible hours, and just really thoughtful, as well as all of our care room aides and nurses. And so I know Jo is trying to get on right now, but we couldn't have done it without them. So
yes, Dr. Cleveland was telling me about how much that Kim has done as well. So it's just amazing. And it's truly appreciated.
So thank you for doing this. I know they appreciate it. And they're just, all of our nurses are just so thoughtful, and our PLCs and nurses meetings and everything that's talked about. And it's always comes back to the students and the community.
And one thing I'd like to note is that our district, has had nurses at all the schools way before a lot of other school districts have. And I think that of all times that it was greatly needed, it was now. So it's really appreciated.
And that is something that, the board, you've always supported since I've been in the district, of having nurses at our school. And now we know, they're always important, but now we know why they're really important too. And so that is also something to be said for our community and how we value our nurses and our health assistants as well. So I'm not sure, but she said she was looking for the invite. So.
Well, I see Dr. Cleveland just came on camera. We'll let her kind of add some words. And
well, I said a lot, but I do want to say nursing services is counseling and many other student services are near Tana Burgos, and she has worked really hard to support them as well. And but it's really, it has been a an incredible job this year. So I've already said it once, but just thank you so much. We truly couldn't have made it through this year without them. I really don't think we could have made it. And so we appreciate everyone who was part of that effort.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. And I know Catherine just presented this on behalf of the board, but I do want to just give the board an extra opportunity just to say thank you if you would like to. And so let's go ahead and do that. Jeffrey Morgan, would you like to start off?
Yeah, Catherine said it all. I just want to say thanks. Very important role. So really appreciate all the work that you guys have done and what you're still doing. So again, big thanks to all of you.
And then Wynn Coleman.
I feel like I sound like a broken record when I say that I'm just amazed as we've gone through this whole entire process of the selfless acts that the staff and administration have really put forth through this. And, you know, it's just so appreciative. And I'm so grateful for just the nursing staff and for all the health aspects that they really are in tune with our students and our families. So thank you so much.
And then Noreen Scott.
I too want to say thank you. And I also want to take note of the fact that even though our middle school and high school nurses were not in their schools, they stepped up and helped in the elementary schools. And we really are grateful for everybody's willingness to just dig in and help. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you again, Catherine, for presenting that on behalf of our board. And thank you to all of our staff. And truly, I feel like every time we start to figure something out, it all changes on us. And I'm really excited for our kids to get back to school, but it's going to be a lot for all of our staff, but also definitely for our nurses as we go back into a full school schedule. Oh, here's Joe's on.
Yes, Joe just joined. So.
You're muted, Joe. We'll give you a second. You're still muted. We'll just wait for you. You're good.
Hit the space bar.
Try the space bar, Joe. See if that works.
I think she's on her phone.
Oh, she's on her phone. I told her to go through her phone.
I feel like it's been a night of like technical difficulties. We're just everything tonight. I'm trying to think of how to tell her how to unmute. I wonder if, Jane, is there any way that you can put something in where she can unmute real quick?
Try *6.
Try *6, Joe.
Yeah, unfortunately.
On your
we can't
phone.
unmute her.
Oh, did I lose you?
Oh, that could work. I can totally relate. This is the problem I was having.
Renee, we lost her. All right. That. Trying to think. Okay.
I think we lost her.
I think so too. That's okay.
Yeah,
oh no, she's still here. I see her. That's okay.
okay.
We are okay. Oh, there you are again, Joe. I don't know if we're going to be able to hear you, Joe.
Oh, here we go. Okay, now you
there
can
we
hear
go.
me.
Yeah. We all gave you our thank yous and everything. Do you want to say anything about your nursing staff? And
No, thank you all. You're so incredibly thoughtful. I'm so sorry. My audio was not working better. My computer is just not cooperating, but I really appreciate all of your kind words. And obviously I could never have accomplished a portion of what I have without the amazing nurses that I work with, and the health assistants and the care room aides too have just been incredible. So it's been a team effort, and obviously the people at the district office have just been amazingly supportive as well. So it's been fun to work with such a great team. I really appreciate it. So thank you.
thank you. And we truly do. Thank you. Catherine, did you want to say anything else before we go?
Of course, thank you, Joe. And then I do want to also say, Tana, that, I know you're a great leader for so many of these. You have so many added responsibilities, and I know that the nurses fall under your department as well. And you've done a great job with everything that you guys has done to get our children back into the schools. And now it's going to be a bit different here in a couple of weeks now that they want to fully open. So we really appreciate it. And I know you guys are going to be really busy with all the students coming back. So thank you.
Thank you. Definitely a team effort.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Tana.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Joe, for getting on last minute. We appreciate it. We
Well, I'm
appreciate
so
you being
sorry
here.
it was so last minute because I just couldn't. My computer won't let me put my password in. It says it's the wrong password. So,
Well, we're glad you could get on and that you were able to unmute too. We're grateful.
thank you for your patience and thank you again for your recognition. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you.
All right.
Okay. Okay, moving on to reports now. Our first item under reports will be on the Fine Arts Department, and Kurt Schmidt, our Executive Director of Fine Arts, is here to present to us.
Thank you, President Galbraith, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland. I do have a PowerPoint. Let's see with the trend of technical difficulties whether it comes up. Great, so thank you for this opportunity to tell you a little bit about our department in the district. I'll try to be as brief as I can this evening. So next slide, please. So the Fine Arts Department operates under the Rio Rancho Public Schools strategic plan under two pillars: the student success pillar and the community pillar. Student success, obviously, we are a curricular department, and but we do have a lot of ties to the community. So we do push out into the city often. Next slide, please. Just as an overview, just as a little bit of background, when we say fine arts, that's a big umbrella, and the fine arts are divided into two categories: either visual arts or performing arts. This can be somewhat confusing. You'll hear the term fine and performing arts, but it should be visual and performing arts. So the visual arts are those arts that are tangible. They're objects: drawing and painting, pottery and sculpture, photography, graphic art. The performing arts have a temporal aspect to them. They take time to appreciate and to experience. So drama, dance, and all the music disciplines that we have. So that's kind of fine arts is the umbrella, and the visual and performing arts are the classes and so forth that we're talking about. So next slide, please. So our department oversees all aspects of the arts in Rio Rancho Public Schools: hiring, professional development, budgetary concerns, etc. Our vision is that the arts are an integral part of every child's education. Our mission is to make sure that every child has access to the arts and is taught by a qualified instructor. And our goals are arts literacy, to prepare and present artistic works, and arts integration, where we work with the Kennedy Center, as I'll talk about later, to combine the arts with other subject matters to elevate goals in each. Next slide, please. So the arts are core academic disciplines. We have our own knowledge, skills, understandings. However, they offer a different way of looking at the world. They differ significantly from other academic areas, but there are so many commonalities between the arts and other disciplines, best practices, etc. And for that reason, we work very closely with CNI. And I meet with Mr. Leppelman and the other CNI executive directors regularly to talk about curricular matters. So we work quite closely with the CNI department. Next slide. I've mentioned this before, but it never hurts to repeat the difference between curricular and co-curricular, et cetera. So curricular activities are programs that occur during the school day. They have a curriculum, et cetera. Co-curricular activities are extensions of the classroom into the greater world. So you might consider a drama class where they're learning techniques in drama. However, they give productions on stage in the evenings or so forth. It might be a marching band competition. It might be a dance festival. So these co-curricular activities are rooted in the classroom, and they're simply extensions of the classroom into the community. And although there are a lot of similarities of fine arts activities with extracurricular activities, they are indeed co-curricular, and they have to be considered in somewhat of a different light. Next slide, please. So wrapping up the department overview, you can read that quote, one of my favorite quotes there. The purpose of the arts is not necessarily to train kids to become artists professionally. Its goal is to enjoy the arts in and of themselves during the school day. I always look forward as a student myself going to an arts class because it was something different during the school day, a different way to express myself, a different experience I could have in school. And I think that's the real focus we try to have in Rio Rancho Public Schools, just offering that space where kids can come and connect with an art form. If they want to go on and become professional artists, please, by all means, we encourage that. But and we hope definitely that they take the arts with them throughout their lives, and it's a regular part of their existence. But the arts in and of themselves, arts for art's sake, is kind of our focus. Next slide, please. So the structure of the department, as the executive director of fine arts, I have several people that work with me. And forgive me, I went over with my wife the colors here, but I am colorblind and I can't remember what they are. So I will do my best. I hope you can figure out what I'm talking about. There are several people, again, in the department across the district. I have an administrative assistant, Elisa Cavan, who's absolutely wonderful. A district-wide clerk, Angie O'Leary, who's equally as wonderful. We have a district percussion coordinator, elementary content leaders, middle school content leaders, and high school instructional leaders. And the ones in the darker color, I won't venture a guess as to what color that is, but they are based at the district office. Their offices are here, whereas the ones in the lighter color are based at school sites and do their work there, but they do work for the entire district. The next slide, please. So going on with the department structure, at the elementary school level, we have 24 art and music teachers. And it's worth noting that these teachers see every single elementary student in the district. So whereas a teacher in third grade might have a class of 20 students at one school, the art teacher at that school will see all 900, 800, 700 kids throughout the school year. So they just do a fantastic job of reaching every single student and bringing arts into their lives every single year. In regular years, and this of course is not a regular year, but we do run fifth grade band and orchestra programs, and there's either band or orchestra at every one of the elementary schools. And so, as I'll talk about later, moving forward, we will need to look at this and see how we might expand that or reinstitute that. At the secondary level, we have 38 dance, drama, music, and visual arts teachers. Again, in regular school years, we see upwards of 60% of our student population that is engaged in an arts course, one or more arts courses. So those teachers see 60% of the student population. Next slide. Budget-wise, I'll talk a little bit about this. This is a little deceiving. The next slide will perhaps clear things up, but there are two sources of funds for my department. The largest is the Fine Arts Education Act money, which funds programs K through 6. That's in excess of $2 million. But again, that's a little deceiving, so I'll discuss that further in the next slide. Also, we receive operational money, about almost $726,000 for those programs. So the next slide will demonstrate that. So the Fine Arts Education Act monies cover, and this is where it's a little deceiving. You think, well, that's $2 million. That's a lot of money. But from that money, we have to cover all the elementary fine arts teachers' salaries, which is 93% of that amount. Those funds also cover some transportation, professional development, costs associated with our partnerships for instance, the Kennedy Center, and supplies for those programs, and just some other miscellaneous costs. The operational monies don't cover any salaries, but they do cover the funding for all 6 through 12 fine arts programs, supplies, travel that the board so graciously voted on a couple years ago, and we continue to be very appreciative of that. Also, replacement maintenance of instruments, and again, miscellaneous costs. So, next slide. These are the board policies that govern our departmental work. And I will not read each policy to you, but if you want to take a quick look at that, there are several places there are several policies under which we operate, especially the ones at the bottom there, just some instructional materials, controversial, sensitive issues, extracurricular, co-curricular activities, etc. Next slide. So during the pandemic, I thought it was worthwhile putting in a slide here just talking about some of our efforts to maintain programs during the pandemic. We've had regular coordination among all content leaders and instructional leaders, K-12. We have frequent meetings with teachers just to gauge their comfort level, and just answer the questions, brainstorm, come up with ideas for instruction, etc. We did have to redistribute funds at the beginning of the school year, which was made possible in large part because so many of our activities just didn't take place. For instance, the marching bands of both comprehensive high schools take a lot of money for travel, etc. Those did not occur, so we could redistribute some of that money. So we did invest in sketchbooks and other supplies for all visual arts students, K-12. So for instance, every elementary student got a set of watercolors, a sketchbook, and a marker, at least to do art at home. At the 6th grade level, the band, 6th grade band, it was a discussion, how do we teach wind instruments virtually? So the directors had the great idea of starting all 6th grade beginning band students on bell kits so they could work on rhythm, have some sort of familiarity with the keyboard, and work on note reading, that sort of thing. That has served us well because now when we moved, for a while when we were in hybrid, they weren't allowed to sing and play, but they could play bell kits, which was beneficial. We also invested in some teaching and learning software for both teachers and students. Smart Music is a at-home practice program that band and orchestra and choir students can engage with and work with, and so teachers could assign lessons at home for students to practice, and the program plays music back, so it's like you're playing with a whole band or a whole orchestra or choir, so it's very helpful. And also Sight Reading Factory, which helps kids with their music reading, and also some miscellaneous equipment, cameras, etc., to help out during the pandemic. And now we also gauge or try to orient professional development sessions toward teacher well-being. We had several, and I'll introduce those a little bit later. Next slide, please. So new this year, we once again received the designation of one of the best communities for music education from the National Association of Music Merchants. And we applied for it again for 2021, and we should hear any day now whether we receive that designation again. The opening of Joe Harris, we had to look at staffing and things like that. So that was that obviously was new for everybody, and new arts integration and professional development workshops. Next slide. So some of the highlights, we were thankfully able to continue our partnerships with several organizations. Even though most of these organizations push in, work with our students in person, we were able to adapt and provide some online sessions for students, teachers, etc. So the Kennedy Center, again, is arts integration. Santa Fe Opera, student-produced operas. They've done a very creative job of engaging students to produce their own operas virtually, and it's just been wonderful to see. The National Dance Institute of New Mexico, which the name of the organization is a little misleading. This organization comes in and runs movement and social emotional learning classes with our elementary kids. So it's based more on movement, not necessarily ballroom dancing or something like that, but it's movement. It's been a big hit, and they've been able to combine all elementary schools into a couple sessions and still run that program. We continue our partnership with the Rockley Family Foundation, which provides new pianos every single year, electronic and acoustic, to our school sites every year at no cost. We just help them run a piano sale every summer. And then the many student program and faculty accomplishments and awards, which you saw in the last couple of weeks with our presentation then. So, and the next slide, probably the best highlight is just the daily hard work and commitment of our teacher artists who have done such a great job keeping the arts a part of our students' lives. They are my heroes, and I think they're the heroes for a lot of students, and we just really thank them for their efforts. Next slide. So some current challenges, there have been a few. Right now, we are trying to shepherd through the legislature House Bill 1 through D8, which has been sponsored by Representative Roger Montoya from Espanola. This seeks to fix the funding issue with the Fine Arts Education Act that came about from some legislation in the 2018 session. We're looking to change the multiplier to restore some funds. We're finding some good success. It passed the House with very strong support. It just this morning passed the House Education Committee unanimously. So it's off to the Senate Finance Committee and then hopefully to the full Senate, the floor of the full Senate. We are trying to beat the clock with this one. So hopefully we'll have some good outlooks. Next slide. What has been a challenge, and as of 3:30, I had quickly to redo a couple slides here, but we're so thankful that the PED has allowed playing and singing, playing wind instruments and singing in schools. It does, the prohibition that we can't do so inside is a bit problematic. And I met with several state art directors after the news conference. We think it can be done safely inside still, and we would still ask the PED, DOH, and the governor to review the science, and that the aerosol study is there for your perusal. However, it does make sense if we go back. We'll be back fully with all students, and obviously, if you have a 50-piece band in your room, there's no way to social distance, and so that makes sense that they would have to go outside. It makes sense, but it does bring up some problems with running maybe a woodwind quintet. A small vocal ensemble, that can be done safely inside, we still feel. Also, there's an issue of if the class is outside and there's not a good Wi-Fi reception, what do we do for the kids who are virtual and meeting at the same time? We are in effect eliminating or alienating a good chunk of these ensembles. So there are some issues we need to work through, but still we remain very thankful for the PED. We're going to get things up and running and evaluate and go from there. So with the next slide, there are continuing misunderstandings of the PED that were brought up today. And it's nobody's fault, but as the secretary is speaking, he made evident that there's some structural misunderstandings about what fine arts programs are. And one of the things that I noticed on the slides is that he kind of lumped in, again, as I mentioned before, lumping in fine arts, band and choir with extracurricular activities. They are not extracurricular. NMAA does not oversee band and choir classes, which it made it sound like we are. There are some co-curricular activities, not many, that fall under the jurisdiction of the NMAA, but this is just ongoing education of leadership as to what the fine arts are, what their goals are, the purpose, et cetera. So that's a kind of a challenge, just to open that dialogue with the PED, keep that open. We've got good contacts, good relationships, and we're so thankful for their leadership. But we do need to maintain those this level of education with them. So, next slide, please. In the future, how do we come out of the pandemic? And we're concerned. Not panicked at this point. We are concerned with enrollment in fine arts programs as we return to normal. Many students have lost skills, and we need to see how we're going to deal with those as we come out of the pandemic. And again, we have to work with these mitigation techniques for wind playing, singing, kind of the peculiarities of the fine arts. Areas where we can improve, just spreading the word about arts integration workshops and the many offerings we give there. We always work on increasing student enrollment in our programs, and just doing more professional development with our faculty, making use of the great talent we have to teach each other, etc. Next slide. So these are some of the trainings we had this year. I'm very excited about. Again, we meet monthly, K-12, with all fine arts faculty. We did have some smart music training. I mentioned that program earlier for all secondary band, choir, and orchestra teachers. Gratitude Attitude was a program developed by a spouse of one of our music educators. She came and presented during an in-service, and we opened it to the 60-some arts teachers, but opened up to the whole district. And we had about 250 people from across the district attend this session. So it really struck a chord, I think, at the end of the last semester. Trauma-sensitive resiliency, again, one of those well-being workshops for teachers, went very well. We had a wonderful hip hop artist come in and share his writing system with us, Bomani Arma, teaching kids the writing process and different aspects of writing through using hip hop. It's just a wonderful, wonderful workshop. And then just recently we had a 3-part workshop on teaching as a creative and culturally responsive practice with 4 remarkable women artists of color out of Santa Fe called Mezcla. Next slide. So planning for the future, again, just as we come out of the pandemic, it's a great opportunity to reset maybe. So rethinking the status quo, is what we're teaching sufficient? What structures are best for our students? How can we deliver the fine arts best? How do we highlight teachers' strengths and make sure that their assignments reflect that? So just having that conversation of what can we do differently? What can we jettison? What can we do in a new way for the benefit of our students? And of course, always expanding our fine arts programs. So just to wrap up, and there are a few more slides after this, this is again, one of my favorite quotes by Picasso, just art washes away the soul of dust, from the soul, the dust of everyday life. And this has been very necessary during the pandemic. We hope the arts have done this for our students. And just the next few slides I'll talk through quickly. This is some of the art that's been happening during the pandemic. This is some artwork at one of our elementary schools during hybrid learning. So just doing wonderful things. Next slide. Early in the pandemic, when we were all stuck at home, our arts teachers, we didn't have supplies yet. So the teachers, this is one teacher from one of our high schools, said, go out and let's use nature. So they did these wonderful creations just using some materials in their backyards, and just did some wonderful things. Next slide. On either side, you'll see examples of those notebooks, those sketchbooks we gave every student. They did some wonderful work. They filled the sketchbooks really well, and some of the other artwork from our high schools there. In the next slide. And this was just too cute not to share. This is a postcard that one of our teachers, Donna Barnett at Colinas del Norte, received after supply distribution. The kids got their markers, their sketchbooks, their watercolors, and Isaac, I don't know who he was, and maybe he's listening. We'll shout out to him, but he was so thankful. He wrote Miss Barnett this very nice note thanking her for all those supplies. So that was, again, too cute not to share. And the next, just to wrap up, this was a work done by Mr. Matthew Lutz at Rancho High School very early on last semester. He had his students design a letter, each design a letter. They sent them to him electronically, and he made this montage of the letters. It's a little bit hard to read, but it's another quote by Picasso. Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. And so he did that very early on and shared that. So with that, I will, it's a blank slide. I think one more will give you yes, questions. I stand for any questions or comments you might have.
All right, thank you. We'll start with the board. We'll go with Catherine Cullen. You want to start us?
Thank you so much. It was great
stuff.
And so I'm assuming for the HB 138, you're just kind of worried that we're going to run out of time because the end of the session is March 20th, correct? Getting out through the committees,
Yeah, we're doing what we can to just to reach out to people, send letters, and we've been working pretty closely with Chris Balzano, the lobbyist. He said that there's something like 100. I think it was he who said this, but Senate Finance Committee has something like 150 bills on its docket to get through. So we're hopeful. We're still hopeful. We'll just try to do what we can to get it through.
Okay, I'll put it on my radar for this week to make sure that I start contacting some people in that.
Any strings at your disposal you could pull would be very much.
I don't know if there's any strings, but we'll certainly. I think that we should all call, because we certainly want to make sure that that gets through. And so, and it is kind of surprising, a little bit that you said that at NMAA, there's not a whole lot that follows under there. I think marching band and some of the competitions fall under there, correct? Or does the marching band not?
Not, and this has been a gray area, and I think we need to continue discussions. But the marching band competitions are run by universities and booster clubs. Again, they're co-curricular. They don't really. The NMAA does the NMAA does several things. The two big ones are the choir and band band festivals that they run every spring, that are hosted at Cleveland High School. They oversee those directly. Other things are not so much under their
okay. Okay, so that's good to know then too, going forward when we're kind of looking at that. And I don't have any other questions. I think that it was a great report. I know it's been a very challenging year for our students, and I'm sure that a lot of them will be happy to come back. And it was great news that we're able to open up with the band and choir, but now I really understand the challenges of having it going outside. So we do need to have them look at that a little bit more.
Yeah, as I said, we'll try it for a while, and I'm sure some issues will arise, and we'll bring those to the bed's attention.
Well, I think rain is going to be an issue.
Spring winds. That's the first thing.
Yeah, exactly. So any of those type of things will cause an issue with them being outside, and then they have to go back inside and not be able to perform. So.
Thank you, Catherine. And it's interesting because it's outside and 9 feet is what I was reading on their question answer thing. So it's outside and they have to be 9 feet apart outside too. Anyway, Jeffrey Morgan.
No questions, but Kurt, thanks for your work and very good presentation. Thank you.
And Noreen Scott.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the presentation. I had no idea we had that number of people involved in the teaching of fine arts. So that was very informative for me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Wynn Coleman.
And Mr. Schmidt, thank you so much for presenting this, but more importantly, I just have, it's been great to get the chance, limited though it may be, the interactions that I've had with you and your calm consistency in really advocating for our students. And as I've sat in meetings with NMAA and discussions over athletics and just really advocating for it's more than just that. And so it's really kind of looking at just fine arts and whether it's band or choir, but I've always appreciated your calm consistency in advocating. So thank you so much.
I'll go to Dr. Cleveland in just a second. But I think one of the saddest things to me this year was just that loss of that 5th grade program with our band and orchestra. I think it's been such a gem, I guess, to say, in our district that, has been so helpful in starting those kids into those programs. And so that was hard to lose. But I just want to thank you for a great presentation, for everything you do to advocate for our fine arts. That's where my heart is. And that's what I grew up doing in the district, was theater and photography. And so, I'm only an athlete now. In my later years, I only did fine arts growing up. And so I'm grateful, and I'm really grateful for your presentation. Dr. Cleveland?
Well, I just want to add, Kurt has had, you're exactly right. He has just shown tremendous leadership of this department, and especially in very difficult times. And I know when the pandemic started, I asked Kurt, I said, how are you gonna make this work? You know, I had a hard time even visualizing how it would work. And he said, we have fabulous staff and they will find a way to make it good for these students, and they'll find a way to make it really worthwhile this year. And you've seen some of the work they've done, some of the concerts, some of the art projects, and so in the very most challenging of circumstances, still very good things happen for students. And so I wanted to thank him for his leadership, but also every single teacher, director, whatever, in our fine arts areas. This was an extremely challenging year for them. And yet they just stayed with it. And they just produced really good, exciting projects for the kids. And we've seen the results of some of that work, and it was just very impressive. We were playing it in this building, you know, it was loud, the music, you know, we were all listening to it, but it was amazing what was done in the most difficult of circumstances. So Kurt, thank you so much for your leadership. Every one of the directors and teachers in our program, thank you so much for finding a way to still make it a good year for our kiddos.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Right as we go there, I just have to say, I don't think our teaching will ever look the same, you know, in our country or probably across the world with all of everything that we've learned in these last year, really. So it's been a great year of creativity. All right, so for item I, it's to approve our consent agenda. Is there anything that needs to be pulled off the consent agenda that needs to be talked about?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
This is Noreen Scott. I'll second.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Jeffrey Morgan and a second by Noreen Scott. And Jane, could you take a roll call vote for us?
Well, you got me back.
Okay, Kim. Okay, I was like, I don't know who to ask.
Yeah,
Right.
sorry about all the technical issues. Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Scott,
Yes.
Board Member Cullen,
Yes.
Board Member Coleman,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, on to our business. We have a report. The Board of Education met in a closed executive session on March 8th, 2021 under Section 10-15-1H7 and 8 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act to discuss threatened or pending litigation and real property acquisitions or dispositions. The matters discussed in the closed meeting were limited only to those specified in the notice of a separate closed meeting. For item B, to consider the approval of the February 22nd, 2021 board meeting unapproved minutes. Any discussion or changes for those minutes?
This is Board Member Catherine Cullen. I make a motion to approve.
Noreen, you are muted.
This is Board Member Morgan. I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Catherine Cullen and a second by Jeffrey Morgan. And Kim, can you take a roll call for us on this?
Yes, ma'am. Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Scott,
Yes.
Board Member Cullen,
Yes.
Board Member Coleman,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so item C, consider approval of Mountain View Middle School excess land sale. And we have Michael Baker, our Chief Operations Officer, and Lauren Hatch, our General Counsel, here to present.
Good evening, President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, members of the school board. So this evening, as you are aware, we have been working on this surplus land at Mountain View Middle School for a number of years. And one of the larger problems that we've been trying to resolve is the drainage issues that surround the Mountain View Middle School campus. In order to come up with funding to mitigate those drainage issues, we've decided to sell a portion of the property on Mountain View that we consider surplus property. It's property that the topography would be very, very expensive in order to develop. And if we were to expand the school, certainly we would not need the abundance of that property. As a result of trying to get funding for the mitigation, we are requesting that we sell the surplus property. We are required to sell at least at the appraisal rate. And we are proposing to sell the property at the appraisal rate, which is just under $59,000, a total sum of just under $1.2 million. And as you see the diagram presented to you, the shape of the property would lend itself quite difficultly in order for us to really develop that property. So as a result of that, we are requesting approval of a purchase agreement to sell the property. And with me is our general counsel, Lauren Hatch. And I will turn it over to Lauren for additional comments.
Thank you, Mike. I think you did a very adequate job of explaining the transaction. I'm here to answer any questions that the board has.
Okay, and Dr. Levin, did you have anything you wanted to add before we go over to questions? Any other?
I'm sorry, President Galbraith, did you ask me that?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you had anything to add before we, sorry.
You did. I think that Michael Baker's done a really good job. I would just say two quick things. One is, this is really just a classic win-win for everyone. Everyone comes out doing well with this agreement. So now I want to thank the work that Mike and Lauren has done, but also the AMREP has also put into it to come up with a good solution for the community as a whole. So the other thing I would add is that when that building was built, just for people's information, there was not a building to be seen anywhere, not one house, not anything. It was the first thing to go out there. And certainly the community built up around that school. But that's all I had to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. And thank you, Mike Baker, and also Lauren Hatch for all the hard work you've done on this. I know it's been a lot. It's been months and months of work, so we appreciate it. Board, do you have any additional questions, Noreen Scott?
No, I have none. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the board on this?
No.
Okay. I will entertain a motion.
This is Board Member Catherine Cullen. A motion to approve the Mountain View Middle School excess land sale.
It's Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Catherine Cullen and a second by Jeffrey Morgan. Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us?
Yes, I can. Vice President Morgan.
Yes.
Secretary Scott.
Yes.
Board Member Cullen.
Yes.
Board Member Coleman.
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you again, Mike and Lauren, for all you guys have done.
Yeah, I just would like to add, also, Melanie Archibek, she spent quite a bit of time also on this arrangement as well. So really, also want to thank Melanie for putting in the time and the effort on this project as well.
Thank you. And thank you for adding her. She is such an asset to our district. We appreciate everything she does.
Can I just make one more comment? This is the State Board of Finance. Mike, do you want to just say a little bit about that for final approval?
Yes, Dr. Cleveland. So with the approval this evening, the next step will be taking it to the State Board of Finance for their approval. And so there is a number of hurdles yet that we have to overcome in order to finalize the purchase agreement. But we feel generally very optimistic about it, and hopefully in the coming months we could start construction at the school.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Baker, you are very angelic tonight. I have to say, you're shining brightly. So we appreciate that. Anything else, Dr. Cleveland, you wanted added?
No, I didn't have anything else to add.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so now we'll consider the recommendation to keep Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School closed for transfers due to construction. We have Janet Chenal, our Elementary School Improvement Officer, also Tana Burgos, our Executive Director of Student Services, and Melanie Archibek, our Executive Director of Facilities, to present.
Good evening, President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, and members of the board. As you recall, last year, previous school year, 2019-20, we asked for transfers to be halted at Martin Luther King Jr. due to the construction with the HVAC system. And due to COVID, that didn't happen this year. So we're bringing the recommendation back to the school board to keep them closed for external transfers next year due to the construction. And Tana can speak to the amount or the number of current transfers that they have. Last year, MLK was projected to be about 750. Due to the loss of some students with disenrollment, they're at about 650 right now. So we anticipate that they'll be under 700 if we close them. Well, if students come back that are in boundaries, they could be back to 750. But right now they're around 650. They have accepted some in-district transfers to their school. And then Melanie can speak to the extensive amount of construction they're going to have and the moving of kids and why we're asking to keep the school closed for transfers for this year.
Good evening, Madam President Galbraith, members of the board, and Dr. Cleveland. This is Melanie Archibek, Executive Director of Facilities. So the construction that's taking place there is one of our large bond projects. It's the entire building. So we'll be redoing all of the HVAC system. We'll be tearing down ceilings. We're anticipating being there for over a year. So it's pretty extensive. We're planning a phased approach. So we'll be shutting down certain portions of the buildings and kind of shifting throughout the year. So they're not going to have as many classrooms that they would normally have online. And that's the reason why we really would request that we do not accept any more transfers.
President Galbraith, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland, if you have any questions from me with transfers, I'd be happy to answer them as well.
Okay, if you guys will give me 1 second, I just did something really weird. Now I can only see Ken's face, so give me 1 second. Okay, we will just go ahead and go to questions, and I will work on this. We'll start with Noreen Scott. Do you have any questions?
Yes. Melanie, how much of the work can be done during the summer when we're not in school?
That's a very good question. So what we're doing is we're working with the site administrator to find out the most critical areas. So we're trying to take care of that during the summer. Our intent with all of our projects, so hopefully you'll see that at the end of April, mid-April, is the recommendation for award of a contractor. But our intent is to go ahead and order all the equipment so as soon as school lets out, they can start construction. And we'll be taking over a number of sites, but MLK is one of our largest. And we will be looking to we'll be looking to complete construction on those most critical areas identified by the site administrators.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll go to Jeffrey Morgan.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, and Catherine Cullen.
I have no questions.
Okay, and Wynn Coleman.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion. I still can't see you guys, so you're just going to have to.
This is board member Catherine Cullen. I make a motion to go ahead and close the let me make sure, Martin Luther King Junior Elementary School, closed to transfers due to the ongoing construction.
This is Board Member Coleman. I second.
Okay, Kim, can you take a roll call for us on this?
Yes, ma'am. Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Scott,
Yes.
Member Colin,
Yes.
Board Member Coleman,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
And who seconded that?
Wynn Coleman.
Wynn
I
Coleman.
did.
Lynn? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. And I can actually see everyone again. Sorry for the awkwardness there, just to go on with the meeting. And thank you, Jane, for helping me get through that. Sorry. Okay. So next will be to consider approval of the Arts Our Education Resolution. We'd like to welcome back Kurt Schmidt, our Executive Director of Fine Arts.
Thank you, President Galbraith, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland. The Arts Our Education Resolution before you tonight is an initiative by the National Association for Music Education, asking school boards to resolve that the district will continue to fund fully and provide appropriate resources in support of all arts education programs in a manner proportionate to all other subjects that are part of a well-rounded education. I present this resolution to you tonight as part of the National Music in Our Schools Month, celebrated every March throughout the country. And just a few words about the district. I think my own situation is pretty indicative of many arts educators, if not most, in Rio Rancho Public Schools, who found a real home here. We employ something like 15 to 17 former Rio Rancho Public Schools alumni as teachers in the arts, which is something to be very proud of. And in my own situation, I've spent my entire 22-year New Mexico professional career in Rio Rancho Public Schools, in no small part because of this district's commitment to fine arts, whether it's requiring fine arts graduation credits, fully funding programs in order to eliminate fees and therefore expand access to arts programs, or any of the other ways the district has committed itself to making sure that the fine arts are a regular and substantive part of every student's education. Such commitment also helps us recruit, as I said before, and retain some of the finest arts educators in the state. So I hope the board will be able to join its voice to the many school districts in the country who are signing on to this show of support for fine arts this month.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? Catherine Cullen?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you for bringing that forward, Kurt.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
No questions.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Kurt, for bringing this. It's a great resolution. I'm grateful that you brought it to us tonight. And with that, is there a motion?
This is Board Member Catherine Cullen. I make a motion for the approval of Arts Our Education Resolution.
This is Board Member Jeff Morgan. I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Catherine Cullen and a second by Jeffrey Morgan. And Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us?
Yes, I can. Vice President Morgan,
Yes.
Secretary Scott,
Yes.
Board Member Cullen,
Yes.
Board Member Coleman,
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President
Yes.
Galbraith, with the board's approval, I will add the signed copy to upload it into the national website. They're collecting them from across the country to show support. So with your approval,
Okay.
I'll work with Jane and Kim to do that.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Kurt. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Okay. So next is item F, consider approval of award of RFP number. You know what? Hold on one second before I go to that. Dr. Cleveland, did you have anything that you wanted to say on that last one? I apologize. I never asked you, and then we can go to our RFP.
No, it's fine. I certainly,
Okay.
I'm very thrilled that you'll support it because I think it's a great resolution and I think it does show the ongoing support of this district for many years for the arts. So thank you all for that support.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. And I apologize for not, I think I'm all off after I had my little technical issue there. Okay, so now we'll go to consider approval of award RFP number 2021-008-FAC 5-year facilities master plan. We have Michael Madrid, our purchasing director, and Melanie Archibek, our executive director of facilities on.
Good evening, Board President Galbraith, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Cleveland. This is a procurement solicitation, as mentioned, 2021-008-FAC for a 5-year facility master plan. Recommendation is for the board to approve the highest ranked offer for the solicitation, accompanied by the name of Architectural Research Consultants Incorporated. Melanie will assist in providing a little more explanation on the scope of services. Responses to the RFP were 3. Architectural Research Consultants out of Albuquerque, Cooperative Strategies out of Lakewood, Colorado, and MGT Consulting out of Tampa, Florida. Melanie, do you want to talk a little bit about the scope?
Yes, good evening, Madam President Galbraith, members of the board, and Dr. Cleveland. This is Melanie Archibek, Executive Director of Facilities. Again, hello. So I want to say maybe 2 months ago, we received funding from PSFA, and this is actually a requirement for any PSCOC awards that we have an active 5-year master plan. What it consists of is there'll be a large committee within the district, maybe some community members, where we'll come up with the needs of the district. We will have a team. So who we're recommending right now is ARC. They'll go to all of our sites, do assessments, tell us the work that is needed, and then also incorporate what they're hearing from the committee of work that's needed. They'll prepare a 5-year master plan, which is basically a blueprint for work to be completed within, I mean, we hope within 5-year plan, but it's a blueprint. So we're making smart decisions to get to a particular goal. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Melanie. Yeah, we'll go to Noreen Scott. You have any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Catherine Cullen.
No, thank you so much, Melanie.
Thank you.
Wynn Coleman.
No, but thank you.
And Jeffrey Morgan.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Is there a motion to approve?
This is Board Member Jeff Morgan. I make a motion to approve the award of RFP number 2021-008 FAC 5-year facilities master plan.
This is Secretary Noreen Scott. I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Jeffrey Morgan and a second by Noreen Scott. Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us?
Yes, ma'am. Vice President Morgan.
Yes.
Secretary Scott.
Yes.
Board Member Cullen.
Yes.
Board Member Coleman.
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. And for our next one is our RFP number 2021-004-IT, Category 1 E-rate, Internet Services. And once again, we have Michael Madrid. And now we have Lee Reynolds, our Director of Integrated Technology, also on with us.
Board President Galbraith, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Cleveland. As mentioned, this is award recommendation for RFP 2021-004-IT. It is Category 1 E-rate for Internet Services. Recommendation is for the highest ranked offer, Conterra Networks. The scope of work from the RFP indicates that its Rio Rancho Public Schools is seeking to establish a district-wide price agreement to purchase E-rate eligible Category 1 services dependent upon available funds. Rio Rancho Public Schools is seeking proposals for commodity internet services. Selected service providers will provide internet services immediately, scalable up to 20 Gbps, and the ability for future growth up to 40. The provider must indicate an upstream peering providers to a tier 1 level. Lee will provide additional clarification as far as the scope of work. This solicitation, we received 4 responses. Conterra Networks out of Charlotte, North Carolina, Sparklight Business out of Phoenix, Arizona, Unite Private Networks out of Albuquerque, and Zayo Group out of Denver, Colorado. Mr. Reynolds, would you like to give additional clarification on the scope of work?
Sure. Thank you. President Galbraith, Dr. Cleveland, members of the board. This is stuff we have to do every year. It seems like every year, but every 3 to 5 years for Category 1 services, which are eligible services from the feds for internet. In this case, lots of things are changing, but the reason why we went out to RFP is we believe that the district's current 10 gigabit circuit is we're going to exceed that here probably pretty soon. Last year, because of COVID, we elected not to do anything, but this year we're ready to move forward. This is our current provider, Conterra Networks, and they're offering us the best flexibility of services that we can go to right up to 20 gigabits and allow us, and actually it's not going to cost the district that much more. Actually just about another $50. So it worked out pretty well. I stand for questions though.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work on this. Noreen Scott?
Yes, my question is, what is the difference in service between our local provider and an out-of-state provider? Why would we need to go out of state for this service?
Actually, all the providers are technically out of state. And the way the connections run, Unite Private Networks just happens to have a local office over in, near the Century 24 theaters. Everybody else, say the way the network is, it's all fiber based and it all pretty much runs downtown to 505 Marquette and then leaves the city in one of several paths. Our current provider, Conterra, has worked out a relationship with several upstream providers, Plateau being our main one, and they provide us excellent service. And to the point of last year, we didn't actually go down at all. We're 100% uptime for a whole year, so it's excellent. But to answer your question, Unite Private Networks is like there's like I say, just a local sales office.
Well, I guess my question was thinking more of how Sparklight stepped up for us last spring in helping us get service to some of our rural students, and I'm wondering if their service was dramatically different than the one out of Charlotte.
Their service actually runs over to Phoenix. It does not, while they could provide, part of this RFP was actually to give us connectivity to several sites, not just the district office site, which is our core. They were actually one of the ones that could provide a service over to Colinas del Norte. However, their pricing was a lot higher than the other providers. So that weighed heavily upon them. And but as far as their service, their upstream capabilities are probably not going to get to our 20 gig level as well. So
thank you for having the patience to answer my question. Appreciate
sure.
it.
You're muted, Amanda.
Thank you. Catherine Collin, did you have any questions?
No, so we're looking at Conterra Networks. That was the one that is your recommendation.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Wynn Coleman, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. And Jeffrey Morgan, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Let's see, I move to approve the award RFP number 2021-004-IT Category 1 E-Rate Internet Services.
Board Member Jeff Morgan, I second.
This is Board Member Catherine Collin. I'm sorry. Can we, when we do our motions, to go ahead and state who we're awarding the contracts to in that?
Yes, we can do that.
Just so that is clarified on there, because we're just.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I also wanted to go over to Dr. Cleveland and let her add anything before we go to vote. Go ahead, Dr. Cleveland.
I saw Paul Romero come on a couple of times, and I would like to see if he had something he would like to add to that.
Great.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland, thank you. The federal E-rate program it's extremely complicated, and we're just really blessed to have the staff and somebody that has the expertise in procurement like Mr. Madrid, and then having Lee Reynolds on staff has been amazing. We've been able to use that program to bring back millions of dollars back to Rio Rancho Public Schools because of the work they put together. We do appreciate the questions about local. We are very geared towards local and always have been. Sparklight, just to comment on them, they did a wonderful job for us during the pandemic. Their services that we procured from them were quite a bit different than the overall big broadband kind of connectivity that we want. I would venture to say with much confidence that the work that we've been able to do for our network here will really put us in a #1 category in the state of New Mexico. And through the pandemic, we've been able to demonstrate that even with our families at home. So I think we're very blessed in doing this. We're very confident in the work that Conterra has done for us over the past year. And as you know, this is the pipe that all these ransomware, DDoS attacks and things occur. And because of their security on the network, it has allowed us to be able to offer services with very, very, very little downtime. I still believe we're 5 nines in our service provision to our district. So thank you very much.
President Galbraith, I would just add one other thought. I don't know if the board has any idea of what the application looks like and what the process is, but it's enormous. And so just untold hours go into it. And so I want to thank the folks who spent the time putting this together. And we're lucky, obviously that Paul's leadership and his connection, but Lee brings some incredible technical background that helps us with this application. And so to the IT team that pulled this together, I just want to say thank you for the hard work. And this is no 5-minute job, I can assure you of that. So thanks to everyone that put in the time and effort. But this is an important part of funding for our district. It's really critical that we have this funding, and it's really important that we're successful in that process. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland, for adding that. Thank you, Paul, for getting on too and adding those things to that too. Anything else from the board? I'm going to amend my motion. Okay. And so I'd like to amend my motion to consider the approval of award to Conterra Network for RFP number 2021-004-IT Category 1 E-rate internet services.
This is board member Jeff Morgan. I second.
Thank you. Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us on that?
Yes, I can. Vice President Morgan.
Yes.
Secretary Scott.
Yes.
Board Member Cullen.
Yes.
Board Member Coleman.
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so for item H is our RFP number 2021-006-IT E-rate Category 2, Cabling and Infrastructure. And once again, Michael Madrid will be on and Lee Reynolds. And Paul Romero will be on with us too.
Board President Galbraith, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Cleveland. This is the last procurement request for the evening. This is RFP 2021-006-IT. Category 2, E-rate cabling and infrastructure. Within this RFP, we broke it down into potential for multiple award. We have 4 items identified. Item 1 is the cabling infrastructure fiber refresh. Item 2 is the WAPS. Item 3 is the MAC. And Lee will provide explanation as to the acronyms and exactly what they entail. Item 4 is the UPS. The recommendation, item 1 for the fiber is the highest ranked offer is ACOM Technologies. Item 2 for the WAPS is Valcom. Item 3 for the MAC is Advanced Network Management. Item 4 for the UPS is Valcom. The description from the RFP reads, Rio Rancho Public Schools is seeking to establish a district price agreement for the purchase of E-rate eligible Category 2 services dependent upon available funds. Rio Rancho current WAP and wiring infrastructure is over 5 years old, which is why Rio Rancho Public Schools is looking forward towards technology and advanced capabilities. The district-wide switch, the refresh is in process. We envision that it'll take at least 2 more additional E-rate funding cycles to complete that. It's a phased approach, and it includes network electronics, associated licensing, support, and physical implement of new equipment and potential maintenance services. Offers that responded to the solicitation were ACOM Technologies out of Albuquerque, Advanced Network Management, also out of Albuquerque, Sound and Signal out of Albuquerque, and Valcom out of Rio Rancho. Lee, if I can ask if you give us a breakdown as far as the scope on the different items.
Sure. If you want to go back up, there you go. Under item 1, which is the fiber refresh for several schools, about 8 schools needed to have some fiber replaced. I'm sure these acronyms aren't going to help you very much, but the thing is that we've been running at because of the switch refresh, we needed to get new fiber in at the 50 micron level. We've been running at 62.5, which is not that it's bad, it just can't support 10 gigabits. So in order to support, and the new switches are all in support of that. So basically, we need to kind of get the new fiber in place to relieve some of those issues that we're having in the field where services are somewhat delayed in some of the sites, schools. It's in the classrooms. It's not too bad, but when you have a lot of students come online, it starts bogging some of the stuff down, has some issues. So that's to fix that. Then item number 2 is the WAPs, which is wireless access points. These are the devices that everybody connects to, your Wi-Fi. Those devices are end of life and soon will be end of support. So this is an attempt to go get the funding to replace all those units within a lot of the schools. Item 3 is kind of a new thing that we're trying out this year, MAC, which is Move, Add, Change. This allows us kind of a escrow account, if you will, from the feds to fund us some money so that we can actually support, because throughout the year, you'd be surprised how often we actually get the request, can we have a new drop in this classroom? We need another drop over here. We need a new drop here. So it's just like all this new they just keep adding stuff, or can we need to move this from this point to this point because we're doing a remodel? Well, all these little odds and ends and nickel and dimes kind of add up, and to the point of about $80,000. So this year we tried something new. We're trying to get, so we thought we'd ask the feds, and this has been successful to other districts, to try to go ahead and see if we can get some funding for that privilege, so we could just help reduce our costs overall. The fourth part, is the UPS services, uninterruptible power supplies. What a mouthful. Anyway, we have a lot of these units. You'd be surprised. These are battery backup services throughout the district. They're in every telecom closet that we have. And believe it or not, a lot of this stuff is E-rateable. And so that's great. So then we'll support that. So let's go out and get funding for the maintenance and support of all that, and the licensing, which allows us to monitor and maintain these devices. So those are the 4 different components of which that we went out to bid for. Hope that helped. Any questions?
That does help. I'm grateful I have a nerd husband, so I kind of get some of these things, but I appreciate all of these, because it's not right next to me. I don't always understand them. So thank you. Paul, did you want to add anything else?
President Galbraith, members of the board, Dr. Cleveland, I think Lee has been, no, I do not. Thank you very much.
Okay. Dr. Cleveland, did you have anything before we go to the board?
No, I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Board, do you have any questions or comments? Just kind of watch them. Okay.
I'd just like to say thank you to the IT department. If ever there was a year we needed quality people, it's been
Yes.
this year. So thank you, thank you, thank you for coming through for us and helping our kids stay online and in school.
That is for sure. I think this year we have seen more than any other how important all of these things that sometimes are in the background really are to our students. And going forward, it's something that we always are going to have to keep up with and keep on top of. So thank you for all your hard work on this. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
This is Board Member Jeff Morgan. I make a motion for the approval of RFP number 2021-006-IT E-rate category cabling and infrastructure with ACOM Technologies, Volcom Advanced Network Management, and am I looking at the right company here again?
That's correct. Volcom's recommended for 2 items, sir.
Okay, yes. And for Volcom.
This is Secretary Noreen Scott. I'll second, and I want to thank our board member Morgan for getting that all out.
I was impressed. All right, thank you. We have a motion by Jeffrey Morgan and a second by Noreen Scott. And Kim, can you take a roll call vote for us on that?
I can, just to make sure I've got the motion straight. It's to approve ACOM, VLCM, and is it just those 2?
No, it's Advanced Network Management as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's what I was trying to clarify. All right. Vice President Morgan.
Yes.
Secretary Scott.
Yes.
Board Member Cullen.
Yes.
Board Member Coleman.
Yes.
President Galbraith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We appreciate you. So on to our advanced planning. I actually have a quick question on this as we go into it. So for our next board meeting, which is going to be on the 12th, we are planning to be in the boardroom if all goes well for that. Our finance committee, we still have listed as virtual, but I'm guessing we're going to need to be in the building to be able to make both of those. Is that going to be Michael Baker, is that an issue if we're in there? I guess we can still do it. We can just sit in our board seats for that as well. But I just wanted to make sure that.
President Galbraith, yeah, I think that will be appropriate.
Okay. Any other questions? Just I'm going to go through the advanced planning, but anything else, Catherine?
The only thing I was thinking is, and I don't know if this will be recommended between you and Dr. Cleveland, but if we need to have a special board meeting before, because we'll be opening up the schools before our next scheduled meeting. So I don't know if that's a conversation you want to have, if it's needed for updates.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President Galbraith, I would like to have us recognize Jane, since this is her last board meeting.
Yes.
Thank you for doing that, Noreen. So thank you for thinking of that, Noreen. I forgot this is almost the end of we don't have another meeting.
No, and I really want to recognize her wonderful service to the school district and to this board. I'm very grateful for her. And I'm grateful for Kim Vesley for stepping up, and for people who were wondering why Kim was here tonight. Very grateful to her as well.
Anyway, you guys are all welcome if you'd like to say anything else. We love Jane. She's amazing, and we're so grateful for everything and that she does for us. And
when is her last day, Dr. Cleveland?
Well, there may have been a slight change in plans, but she just shared that with me today. So I haven't had a chance to actually talk with her, and she said there might be a little adjustment in it. So I will get information back to you. she shared that with me right before the board meeting. So, but I do want to say we do appreciate Jane and all of her hard work, and you know, she has just put a lot of time and effort into supporting not only the administration but the board, and she's been a wonderful person to work with. So thank you for recognizing her and bringing that up. And we might see a little bit of adjustment, but I'll let you know. I'll let you know as soon as I know a little more.
Anyone else want to add anything?
I just want to say thank you, Jan. Since I've been on the board, she's been nothing but a blessing to me. Really, really helped me out, really encouraged me. So big thanks. I really, really appreciate what she's done for me and others as well.
Yeah, no matter what the future may hold, we love Jane. We're so grateful. She holds me together for sure, more than she realizes. So even helping me find everyone's faces back on the meeting tonight, she texted me. Okay, anyone else? Okay, all right. Thank you so much. So I'll go ahead and read through our advanced planning, if there's nothing else on that. And yes, we'll have to kind of see what happens as we work on opening schools. But thanks, Kathy, too, for bringing that up. So March 22nd through the 26th is our long-awaited spring break, which I'm sure everyone is excited for. April 2nd is a vernal holiday. April, let's see, I have my notes here. So it's like March 29th through the 2nd is that NMA SBO spring budget workshop. And April 12th is a finance committee meeting at 4:30. So it will be streamed YouTube, and we may have to be in the boardroom to make it to our next meeting. So April 12th is our next regular scheduled board meeting. Please mark on your calendars that we are planning to be in the boardroom that night at 5:30. April 14th, the NMSBA region spring meeting, and that will be virtual. April 26th, the regular board meeting at 5:30 in the boardroom. May 10th, 2021, let's see, finance committee meeting, which will be at 4:30. Also, May 10th will be another regular board meeting at 5:30 p.m. Before we adjourn, Dr. Cleveland, is there anything else that you need to bring up?
I would just remind the board that once we actually get our numbers or have a picture of how we're going to do, and it literally has been changing the last several days, significant changes. And so as soon as we get very firm information on what the unit value will look like, and we will get back. And so our finance meetings are going to become very important. When you have a 60-day session, it comes so much later, and you have a really limited amount of time before you've got to pull the budget together. So just kind of fair warning to everyone, there will be some extra time as we get ready to build our budget when it's this late in getting the information from the state legislature. And of course, we also have to wait until the governor signs the budget or vetoes the budget or whatever. So we're headed for a really important time. And we're watching everything very carefully. I know you all are as well. Certainly Superintendents Association, School Boards Association, work very closely to try to keep everyone informed. But we've had a couple of developments the last few days that we're different than what we were anticipating. But anyway, I just hopefully we're going to get that information, and we will be able to give you much more specific data on what our budget looks like. So that's all I wanted to add.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that. That's important. Anything else from the board? Okay. Our meeting tonight's adjourned. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here.